Hong Kong. So I think, do we need to start with any prayer a little bit, just to ask the Holy Spirit to come among us and help us in this moment, and then say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, because we are, we are living in the whole universe, in the whole world, we can say. But anyway, let us invite the Holy Spirit to come upon us and lead us during this moment, that it can be something fruitful for each one of us, and encourage us to continue to work, our missionary work and our missionary activity in the youth ministry that we do in our places. So let us invite the Holy Spirit to come upon us. In the name of the Father and the Holy Spirit, amen. Come, Holy Spirit, come upon us. We are waiting for your visit. We are preparing the Pentecost that is just right around in the corner. And we invite you to stay with us in this encounter with all our friends from the missioners of Quebec missioners, laity society, and also priests. Come upon us and guide us. We know that you are the guide inside of the church, and sometimes we don't allow you to guide us, to give us strength. Come upon each one of us and direct all our actions and direct all our activities, because we know that you were sent by the Father and Jesus Christ to be with us. Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and will reach our world without end. Amen. So I will share with you one PowerPoint. It's very hopefully it can help you to see a little bit my approach. When I received Ana Maria invitation to share with you about the youth ministry that we do in Hong Kong, and then she also sent me this the theme, the missionary animation in the youth ministry contest. So let us start, without any delay, because I think we already spent so many times introducing ourselves. So I will like to start with this wide and articulate horizon of the youth ministry. The youth ministry is very vast, and maybe we cannot explain everything in one session. So I just want to start a little bit with this wide but very good articulate horizon of the youth ministry. The youth ministry has to, work in the human promotion. It has a duty to promote, to have this human promotion. Cannot be without this aspect, the growth of the youth people. So it has to be the first part of the youth ministry, to promote this development, the human development of the youth, of the person as a person, And the second part is the unavoidable commitment of explicit evangelization. Even though Pope Francis always said that we don't have to be like the Protestants go door by door, but our evangelization also has to be explicit, without being very annoying to the people. It has to be explicit. So the work, the youth ministry, it has to be, also has to involve this explicit evangelization. The third aspect is the necessary and moral formation of the conscious. We don't not just promote the human development of the youth people, but youth ministry has to be engaged, in the formation of the in the moral aspect formation of the conscience of the young people. So and grand part of the youth ministry has to be dedicated to this aspect. Another aspect is the decisive corresponsible involvement in the mission. It has to be decisive. I mean, we have to decide and to do it, you know, and to involve the youth ministry, the youth, you know, and to be corresponsible in this activity, the church mission activity. I mean, this and I will focus in this part of the of this very articulate horizon of the youth ministry. And the number 5 aspect of this articulate horizon of youth ministries, also we have to take care, you know, the spiritual life, you know, of the youth ministry. But this spiritual life has to be directed into promote, you know, and to lead the young people, you know, to be able to discover, you know, their own vocation in life. I think the stage of the youth people is the time for them to make the decisions in their lives, to be able to know what is the God's plan for each one of them, you know, in their lives, as his own mission, you know, or as his own vocation. You know, everyone, I mean, we have to also to open a little bit the concept of vocation, you know. Sometimes we reduce this concept of vocation, just reduced to the, you know, to the priestly life, to the, you know, the consecrated life, to the married life. Yeah, this, but everyone, I mean, everyone in as a person, as a part, I mean, when we come to this life, every one of us has a vocation. So we have to rehabilitate, to give life to this vocation meaning. And also vocation has to give life to, I mean, to our daily life, you know, to our daily life. So vitalize the vocation and also vocationalize our life. You know, that's very, has to be one of the points or part, I mean, important part of the youth ministry. But anyway, I will focus in the number 4, this decisive corresponsible involvement in the mission. You know, how to bring the young people to know and to be part of the mission activity of the church. So the youth ministry has to be very involved to this part, you know, and also at the end, one of the part of Francis in the I mean, Christ Vivid, he said that the mission, I mean, the youth ministry has to be for all the people, for all the youth, you know. So this is the important part of the youth ministry. We have to go to those who are near and those who are far, in different aspects, you know, not just in distance, but far from the house, far from the church, far from the faith, from faith. So okay, let's go to this. So as I told you, I will focus in this aspect, how to be responsible in, I mean, the youth ministry, responsible involvement in the mission. In the explicit evangelization of the church, the young people cannot be simple recipients. I mean, we have to tell them and to everything that we do, that we are not evangelizing them. You know, we have to bring young people to evangelize young people. You know, that's the most important part. I mean, they have to be responsible. I mean, they have to be subjects of this activity, no recipients of this activity. The young people cannot be taught as a passive subject, you know, because of their own. I mean, we know that the vitality of the the young age is to be active. You know, the characteristic, one of their characteristics is to be active, or the enthusiasm of the young people. You know, learning to do things. They have to be told as a protagonist of the evangelization of the church. Sometimes with our activities, we try to do activities for them, but we have to do activities with them. It's different approach. It's not create activities for them, but to do activities with them. And it's more difficult. It's not easy. You know, sometimes it takes more time. Sometimes you have to walk with them, you know, without hurry. I mean, you have to know the pace of the group, the pace of the community, and it's difficult. But it's, I mean, at the end, you can walk longer, you know. Sometimes you walk slower, but at the end you walk farther. You walk farther. So not to do activities for them, but to do activities with them, that they can feel the protagonist of this activity of the church. And sometimes we fail to do that in the inside of the church. So indeed, the subject of evangelization is the church as a whole, you know, because by virtue of our own baptism, the baptism that we have received, so every member of the people of God is a missionary. So we have to focus and to stress this aspect in the life of the youth people, and to try to all the activities that we can do can be, I mean, also a part of evangelization, as a mission of the church. So this conciliar decree on the apostolate of the laity, I think everybody maybe heard about that. This Apostolicum Quisitatem said the young people exert a major influence in today's society. That's why we need to involve them, you know. They can have a lot of influence in our society, in today's society. Now, I think for the social media, we can see that, you know, they can do be very, I mean, the influencers, you know, the influencers, and it's true. It is true. So we have to make them to be influencers in the apostolic life, you know, in the apostolic life and the missionary life. So they are to become the first and the immediate apostles of young people, as we said before. You know, I mean, to be able to exercise their own apostolate among them, taking into account the social environment in which they live. I mean, they are the one who knows better the situation of the young people. Sometimes we say that we understand a little bit about the reality of their own situation, but the one who knows their own situation are them. See, Father Pedro? No? Okay. So we have to involve them. I mean, to be able to involve them, because they can serve even better than us, you know. And the people always say, oh, you are doing a good job, Father, with the young people. You are so young. But actually, I'm not young enough, you know. And I try to understand their situation. But many things, many aspects, because of the culture, because of the language, because of the barrier, you know, the cultural barrier, and also the age gap. Something, I mean, something is sometimes is not working. So we have to allow them, you know, to be part. I mean, to serve their own peers. Yeah. So as adults, we as adults, we should stimulate young people, you know, to apostolate first of all by example, you know, and also to be, to be a good role models. I think something that in our society now, the young people are always looking for role models in us, in the adults. So we have to stimulate them by our own, example first, and also to give them the opportunities, a lot of opportunities, and also the opportunity, uh, uh, and prudent advice is also it's valid, it's help, but overall with our example, with our own role models. So young people also have respect and trust, and we have to acknowledge that they also respect us and trust us, the adults. So young people can become aware of their own role in the church only in the form of evangelical sharing. When they really want to, if we want them to be part of this church and to take a role in the church, it has to be in this aspect, sharing, their own evangelical, their own experience in the apostolic responsibility. There is no other way. Yeah, we have to. The youth ministry has this qualifying point. When we bring people, bring the young people, that they can donate themselves. Donation. The self-giving of himself to this. To serve their own friends and their own young people. So they can do that. When we and they're really good. When we allow them to do that, and when we bring them with all the activities, with the formation, with the spiritual life, that they can self-give themselves. At this point of donation, it's a qualifying point of the youth ministry, and is when we say that the youth ministry has quality, has quality. So they can give testimony capable of generating also, the following and the imitation, that leads the other youth people to concrete service with dedication. So these all the things, they can do that when they self-give themselves and they give good testimony. They can also promote other people to do the same, to following the footsteps of them and the Jesus Christ and the imitation of Jesus Christ. So and we have youth ministry has to be to focus, to bring these young people to this self-giving. So the young people also become disciples of the Lord in the effectiveness of life and in the concrete exercise of service. So there is no other way to be disciples, and missionaries, disciples. As Pope Francis like to do that, missionaries disciple. Only in this, when they are able to, in the real practical life, to do this effective and self-giving and in the concrete exercise of service. The secret of youth ministry, it has to be and consists in the responsible involvement of the young people in the apostolic mission. So how to bring them to also to serve and to evangelize their own peers is very important in the part of the church. So young people is an active and an active subject. It's also the winning strategy of the youth evangelization. Young people evangelizing young people is the best strategy that we can have in the mission activity of the church. So and most of the popes, when after they created, the World Youth Day and the World Youth Day and the Asian Youth Day also, and the National Youth Day and the National Youth Day, they always try to stress that, that for example, Pope Benedict in Brazil, dear young people, you are the first missionaries among your peers. Yeah. Invitation to young people to go and make disciples to all people. Then John Paul II, wrote, faith is strengthened by giving it. missionary commitment is an essential dimension of the faith. By committing yourselves to serve others and to proclaim the gospel to them, you too will build yourself. You will grow and mature in humanity. So they all, I mean, all the popes, they invite the young people, to be part of this missionary activity, and uh, and it's the only, and as I said before, it's the winning strategy of youth evangelization. We don't get them involved in this activity. Our evangelization to the young people is, is going to fail. It's going to fail. So we have to involve them, to do activities with them, to evangelize with them, not evangelize them, evangelize together. I mean, give room for them to be their own evangelizers, their own missionaries. I mean, to be the missionary disciples of the young people. And lately, this post-synodal document that we have from Pope Francis, Christus Vivit, is more explicit in this aspect. So Pope Francis invite us, in this document to be a courageous, and invite the young people to be the courageous missionaries. So in the number, it has 4 numbers that is very explicit. This invitation for all young people, to get involved in this activity. So these numbers, the 175. He said, extract. This is just extract of this number. Filled with the love of Christ, young people are called to be the witness of the gospel wherever they find themselves, by the way they live. It's important. Pope Francis said, no need to do big things. Just be yourselves. In your everyday life, and doing simple things for your own friends, for your own young people. So the gospel, more than a lesson, is an example. So to live, to evangelize by their own example, it's a message that become alive, fully lived. So, and the following number, 176. The importance of big witness, does not mean that we should be silent about the word of God. And this Pope, we have to do proselytism. I mean, he always talk about, we don't have to be, the Protestant churches, as they do, we don't have to do many proselytism, but we have to do this, as St. Paul said, wow, to me, if I don't proclaim the gospel, we have to do it in an explicit way, to proclaim the gospel, and do it explicitly, not just by our example, but also by our words, by our words in all our activities and whatever we do, to give a very good chance for the proclamation of the gospel. And the follower number, we have this very long, but I really like this one. Where does Jesus send us? Where does Jesus send us? There is no borders, no limits. I mean, he sent us everywhere. The gospel is for everyone, not just for some. It's not only for those who seem closer to us, more receptive, more welcoming. It is for everyone. Do not be afraid to go and bring Christ into every area of life, to the fringes of society, even to those who seem farthest away and most indifferent. The Lord seeks all. He wants everyone to feel the warmth of his mercy in his love. Invite us to be fearless missionaries, wherever we are and wherever company we find ourselves. in our neighborhoods, in the school, in the sports, in social life, in voluntary service, or in the workplace. Is continuing counting in our on your courage, your boldness, and your enthusiasm. I like this because it's going very into the heart of our missionary activity. For us as a missionary, to go to the borders, to go to everywhere, to go to those who really are in need, as we say, the one who are far, socially distance, whatever farther, meaning you can find. And also for those who are not believers, who are not believers. We are sent, as a young people, I think as a young people also is a little bit easier to reach, these aspects of our life. And yeah, and in every space, and in every space, I like this. It has to be the neighborhood, in the schools, in the sport grounds, in the social life, in the bars, and in all the places that we can find uh, are places that are open for the youth to be involved and to, to do their own activity, evangelization, evangelization activity for their own friends and for their own young people. So, and the last one, uh, in the 178, don't think that this vision is solved, and it's easy. We have to work with them and to always support them and encourage them, because young people also can be can easy, just get lost hope and lost enthusiasm. Yeah, so we have to be with them, working with them. To involve them and to allow them to be their own evangelizers, the young people evangelizing young people. It doesn't mean that we don't need to be with them. So as an adult, as a priest, as a consecrated people, we have to be with them, work closer, giving courage to them, because the mission activity is not simple, it's not easy, and it's not something soft, as we say, So some young people have given their lives for the sake of missionary outreach, as the Korean bishop, also Pope Francis said, we hope that we can be grains of wheat, an instrument of salvation of humanity, following upon the examples of the martyrs. The Korean martyrs, most of them, a lot of them are young people. As today we celebrate the feast, the martyrs of San Carlos Luanga in Angola, I guess in Angola. So they they all of them, many of them were young people. So as the martyrs, so though our faith is as small as a mustard seed, God will give it growth and use it as an instrument for His work of salvation. So young friends, as Pope said, don't wait until tomorrow to contribute. Your energy, your authenticity, and your creativity to changing our world. So we have to start today. We have to push them. Don't wait until tomorrow. A lot of people say that the young people is the future, but Pope Francis always said, no, young people is not the future, it's the present. It's the present of the church, and it's the most valuable thing that the church can have. So don't wait until tomorrow. So we have to encourage the young people in our ministry, in our own ministry, to start now. No, don't waste time. So for that, in the promotion of vocation, when we form them in the spiritual life, So it has to be in this the vocation, and how to they have to how can they can fulfill their own vocation as a missionary disciples, in the church, in their own way, as a young people, in their own activities, in the school, in the university, or wherever, in all the places they are. So this is the first part. Ana Maria, what do you think? Or there is any question or any suggestion first, or anything that is not clear? I mean, this is what I prepare and I can share to you. But yeah, it's not perfect. But if you have any suggestion or any question, Ana Maria, this is the first part. Yeah, so
Thank you so much, Father Tito. Thank you very much. The people from Kenya is having some technical difficulties, challenges. Well, no, sorry, the people from Kenya. No, I'm talking about those who are.
We have. Okay, we will start our second part. And in this moment, we have a few minutes. Please, if you have questions or you want to make a comment, you want to share something, please, it is the moment. You are very welcome.
De mi parte, tal vez solo decir que mientras escuchaba la intervención, pensaba en mí misma cuando estaba en el grupo juvenil, ¿no?, de la parroquia. Y cómo era nuestra vivencia, ¿verdad? Y yo digo, a veces uno olvida que estuvo ahí, que estuvo en esos zapatos, que estuvo en esa experiencia. A veces uno olvida que las cosas que le gustaba hacer y cómo le gustaba hacerlas, ¿no?, dentro de la parroquia. La energía que uno tenía, el entusiasmo que tenía en ese momento, que tenemos, pero de manera diferente por las experiencias actuales. Entonces, es como recordar que también fuimos adolescentes, que también vivimos la fe de alguna forma en ese momento y tomarlo en cuenta, ¿no? Eso.
Gracias, Elsa. Thank you. Just to say for the lady that accompanied us, that Elsa was saying that she was remembering her own time working with the youth, and when she was teenager and younger. So all this the father was explaining helped her to remind that process of the life. Thank you. I think Giovanni also want to speak. So Giovanni, please.
Yes, I'm trying to confirm that what Father, the one who gave the Father Tito.
yes,
He said that, yes, he said that the youth must be evangelized to other youth. And he make an example what happened Ugandan martyrs. They are all youth, young people. I mean, it is very effective that young people evangelize young people, because the story of Ugandan martyrs, Charles Wanda, he is the first one converted a Christian. And then by the example of the missionary priest, because they are a hierarchy, they are king, and they are not a Christian. So to be short, Charles Wanda, a young man, I think 12, 15 years old, and he was a worker in the palace. And when he was converted as Christian, he tried to talk the young people to be short, they are almost 22 or 22 Anglican and 27 Catholic converted. Young, they are young people and they are martyr because they profess their faith. Not a question of Catholic, but most of them are Catholic, no? Charles Wanda. So for me, the point, what Father Tito said, that it is very effective that we use young people to journey with them and to celebrate with them or to make an activity with them so that they will become effective also evangelizer. That's all I can confirm, that what Father Tito said is very nice to put consideration as a missionaries. Thank you.
Thank you, Giovanni. If we have someone else, si alguien más desea expresar su opinión, un comentario, una pregunta, es bienvenido en este minuto.
Sí, quisiera expresar un comentario que me... sorry, I will say it in English. Just I would like to express something that it was for me made me laugh, no? Because you mentioned that it's very important to make activities not only for them but with them, with the youth. It's something very challenging, very challenging.
Yes, because we tend to do many things for them, but we forget that the one who can do better things for themselves are themselves. So because they know the situation, they know better the language, and they have the, it's the more, the best strategy that we can use, Of course, it's challenging also. It's not easy, because you have to work with them and in the same space, the same pace and the same time, and at the same time you have to be formation to them to be able to do the things that maybe you want them to do, but not only the thing that you want them to do, but the things that they realize their own themselves realize that they need to do with their own group, with their own people. So it's important also, and not just to give them room, but also to to give formation to them at the same time.
Okay, thank you. Now Bernard can share, please.
So thank you so much, Father Tito, for your input and for the experience that you had with the young people, and to share it with us. Mine a bit of a comment, so maybe your opinion also on the same. There's a place where you say that what the secret of being with the young people is having them sharing the co-responsibility, being co-responsible together with the elders and involving them in the apostolic mission. I don't know what's your experience on the other side, because sometimes a bit more or less of what Pedro was saying, sometimes you let them, a little bit be for them, also involving, actively doing a bit of what also, not what they want per se, but in their own way. There's the push to try to do things their own way, and sometimes can tend to go a little bit outside, or they just want to conform within their own times. That I've experienced a bit here with some of the young people. It is how things are a little bit supposed to be, but they also want to push in either from their trends, how the things are trending, irrespective of if it's a little bit outside the context. For them, as long as it is good and it feels it attracts to them. So I don't know what's your opinion on that line, probably with your own experience on that other side.
I think it's part of the formation, as I said before, you don't know, you don't want just them to be co-responsible in the mission, in the activity, the evangelization, but at the same time, you have to to give them, I mean, a good formation. I mean, you don't send them to fight without a weapon, you know, weapon. So it's part of the process of formation. I mean, when you are involved in forming young people and encouraging young people to be the evangelizers of their same young people, yeah, I mean, you run the risk, of course, and you make so many mistakes, and they also may make many mistakes. But it's also the possibility to learn, you know, to learn by try and mistake, try and error, you know. I mean, there is no a book form, I mean, that write to you that everything will be fine and everything will be smooth, you know, when you work with young people, you know. So you face many problems, but you have to face with them together, you know, and use that mistake sometimes to learn, to continue to learn, because it's an ongoing learning. There is not a magic form, you know, for all the situation. Of course, you have to be nearby, close by, and to help them to be aware of the different I mean, the problems or the mistakes, but working together, you know, and facing together their own problematic and their own mistakes, and learning from them. I think this is also very very important. It will be always the you know, the temptation, you know, to work and to do something out of the what that we think that is no part of the church, you know, but we need to allow them to try and to learn together, you know, learn together.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So now we have Miguel Granados. Please, Miguel.
Thank you, Ana Maria. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. I was listening to the Father Tito, and one of the things that calls my attention, well, Father, you were talking about to be co-responsible in mission with the youth, doing with them, making them to be involved in everything. But you were talking also about a spiritual life from the vocational point of view, which is new. It is not new to me because as a missionary, and I've been involved in missionary vocation, and I've been involved in this spiritual life from a vocational point of view, because the society teaches us this way of life. But if we go inside the church, I was talking with a friend. He is a priest here in Costa Rica, and I was telling him that I would like to do missionary animation in his parish. It was a conversation because we are friends, we are very close. So I was telling him, you know, I like your parish and I would love to do missionary animation there. And he was telling me, you know, I would love that because my parish at this point is dead. All we have in our parish is the Mass. I mean, it's very important, but it's the only thing we have here. People are coming to the Mass every Sunday, but if you look at them, they are 40 plus, and that's all. I mean, the youth are not here in the church. And I am worried because the youth go to Pastoral Junvenil, the youth ministry, but it seems like it's a space for them to socialize, to live some important moments. But after that, they don't look for anything else. They don't look forward. They go there, they enjoy, and after it's done, they disappear. So there is not a single vocational motivation that is going to make people to go forward. And the youth are going like, this is a moment, and one is over, I am over as well, and I don't go back to the church. That calls me my attention because it's somehow the way the church in Costa Rica is living, and it's working with the youth. They like to integrate youths for this kind of youth ministry. They send big groups to the youth day, let's say in Panama, Portugal, wherever it is, and after that there is nothing else. So the spiritual life from a vocational point of view doesn't exist, and that calls my attention here because it sounds new. It's something that you don't see anywhere, at least here in Costa Rica. That is something that people do not consider. It seems like this kind of vocational promotion, the vocational point of view doesn't exist because people are meant to grow, to get married, to get a profession, to make money. And if someone is going to look for a vocation, you must go to the seminary, and that's all. Out of that, nothing else exists. And I like this approach, that our life has to have this kind of meanings. Everything we do is because we own a vocation, we have a vocation, and we have to go forward with that. And we are lacking somehow that in the youth ministry in our churches. Thank you.
Yeah. We have to revitalize vocation, because sometimes vocation seems something that is not so very, has life in itself. And also we have vocationalized all our life, all our life, because all our life is a vocation. It's a vocation. So we have to live our life as a vocation, as a vocation. Vocation, it has to be also wider, not just as I said before, as a consecrated people, as the priesthood life, or a very specific vocation. No, vocation is something bigger, and is something bigger than that. So we have to give a very wider meaning to vocation, and try to revitalize this vocation, and also to vocationalize all our own life and our own life. That's, I think, is a challenge, and we do through. Youth ministry is very involved in this aspect, because it's the proper place, for the people to make consciousness, their own vocation, their own mission on life. I like more vocation like a mission, in your own life, in their own life of each one of the baptized people, and each one of the sons of God, sons of God. Thank you.
Thank you to all of you. There is any other maybe comment?
Hi, I just want to follow up. So I remember one of the comments that was made about coming up with activities for the youth, but also coming up with activities that we can do with the youth. And I think sometimes, based on my experience, sometimes we kind of overthink what should we organize, what should we plan and stuff. But based on my experience, one of the things that I really enjoyed together with one of our parish priests, it was so simple. He really just came up to the youth, like a bunch of us after mass, and just asked oh, do you want to go to McDonald's and grab some breakfast, And it was so simple that he asked that, and that really helped build a relationship. And it wasn't even anything elaborate. and or just go for a walk or go hiking, you know, and that really built a strong foundation between us and our parish priest back then. And then I think another thing that I want to respond to, I think what Miguel was mentioning earlier, like there are times when I feel like in youth ministry as well, where you know, they come in for fellowship, they come in to socialize, but then afterwards, you know, they're gone. Maybe and like in the community, maybe sometimes we're coming up with like formation or teaching that they just don't find relevant to their lives. They just wonder, like, how does this have anything to do with me? It's not relevant, it's boring, it's just for people who are over 40, and I don't want to be a part of it. But I remember having this discussion before together with Father Tito and some other you know, reps from Hong Kong as well, that a lot of the young people do have questions. They do have a lot of questions that are relevant to them. You know, everyone's on their phones, everyone's on TikTok, and they have a lot of content that's coming into them that they might have questions about related to the church. Maybe questions about homosexuality, questions about love and about sex, and so many other things. And I feel like if we address and target those questions that we think the youth in our diocese have, that could possibly a way, you know, of course, praying about it as well and praying for them, to kind of bring them back and actually have some interest in some of the formation that we have. But yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you to take part in this moment of sharing. So, but I will now return the word to Father Tito for the second part of the presentation.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So you just listen to Eloisa Tambuno. She will introduce herself. She's one of our, in Hong Kong, we have ministry in English and also in Chinese, because sometimes of the barrier of language. And Eloisa is part of the core group for the DY, we call it DY, the Diocesan English Youth. So we are restarting this community. So we are, after 3 years, we have the social movement in Hong Kong and also the pandemic situation. So this community was a little bit, during these three years, a little bit dead. So we are trying to restart this community, this group, and Eloisa is part of this group. So I invite her because I know her. She has a lot of experience in youth ministry in her own community. She's going to share a little bit about her own community. So we welcome Eloisa. Thank you for coming and sharing with us. Yeah.
Thank you for inviting me, Father Tito. Okay, so I'm just going to share with you all basically my experience in my own community. So as Father Tito mentioned, and maybe if you might be a little bit familiar, so under the Hong Kong diocese, we're very much split into two, where it's like the Chinese speaking community and also the English speaking community. And we operate very differently. So of course, I'm part of the English speaking community. So yeah, and under that, under the English speaking communities, there's a lot of, let's say, individual charismatic communities. So for those in the Chinese ones, they're very much in their own, like youth groups are in their own parishes, you know, maybe like St. Benedict, St. Thomas, whatever parish it's called. So that's their own individual youth groups. But a lot of the times for the English youth groups, they're more of charismatic communities, and it might be like a whole group of youth that come from very different parishes that come together. So I'm going to be sharing mine that I've come from. So here is mine. Okay. All right. So here is my community that I've come from. So it's called the Missionaries, Families of Christ, and in short, it's called MFC. And if you can see under this under this whole umbrella, there's a lot of these different logos here. And the whole point of this entire ministry, it's very, I don't know if you've heard the term womb to tomb. So it basically takes care of anybody, starting from when they're children, and then youth, and then singles, and then becoming, a parent, so you become a couple. So there are ministries that exist for, every level here. And it's like this entire ecosystem of this ministry, and it's been so successful so far. And actually, the origin of this community started out in the Philippines, and then we have this community here in Hong Kong, and it's also branched out to other places in the world as well. And then we do have annual conferences where we do come together and meet up together, with delegates from around the world as well. So for me, what I've experienced, and also because of my age as well, so I've been in the kids ministry before, I've been in the youth ministry before, and now I'm in the singles ministry. So I'll just give you a little gist of what actually happens and what goes on in our community, and how it's actually been able to really successfully thrive for a really, really long time already. So here we can see, this is just a picture from one of our conferences when all the ministries come together, because we have an annual anniversary that celebrates our community together. And I just want to show you this little picture, and it was posted on Facebook and all. And then we do have some regular activities. So we have like these talks from one of our speakers coming from the Philippines. So we just tune in on Zoom, and then we listen to their talks. Or sometimes the missionaries flew over in Hong Kong, and then they give these talks. And then we have our regular First Friday masses. And then, okay, so here is it comes into the youth ministry itself. So I do feel like with the youth ministry, what I kind of see and what I've actually experienced is that there is a very much like a balance of activities that exist. Okay, so wait, I'll just share this. Yeah, so I feel like there's a whole balance of activities. So we do have our weekly Bible studies, whether there's COVID or not. Whenever there was back then, when there wasn't COVID, we would meet in Starbucks, we would meet in McDonald's, we would meet in like coffee shops, and we would have Bible studies and invite friends over. And that would happen, I think, maybe like twice a week. And then now that COVID is still around, now we're not doing it face to face, but we haven't stopped. So we're still doing it weekly, but we're doing it on Zoom, and still twice a week. And then other than that, we have regular teachings, like what I've just shown you before. And then we have our fellowship gatherings, like what we've mentioned before, like where they just socialize together, just play games together, go hiking, go swimming, or whatever. And then we have mass together. But at the same time, I think what makes the ministry very successful and very much alive, it's also including what Father Tito mentioned before, like the kind of active apostolate. So a lot of the youth in our ministry, they're very much involved in the service. They're involved in, keeping our ministry alive. So for example, like this is a poster that they made for one of the youth's teachings. So the teaching here was like too lit to quit. So the language, they very much adjusted it for youth language, as much as sometimes we find it very like, oh, I don't really understand what the youth are saying. But this is what grabs the attention of the youth that age. So and who knows it better than the youth? So they come up with these posters, and you can see it's very bright and very colorful. They have so many ideas. They're so capable. And then they come up with art and things for social media that really get the attention of other youth who are not in the community as well. And yeah, so let me show you some other things. And for example, here as well, they've come up with this kind of countdown for the Christmas party that's coming along. So they're getting involved in the service where the different the different teams within the youth ministry. So for example, there's a writers team who writes out, maybe like little articles for the ministry. There's a music team. So whenever we have, let's say, a mass, they're in charge of the ones playing guitar or singing, choosing the songs. There's also the graphics team. So they're the ones who come up with Instagram posts.
Excuse me, Luisa. Sorry, I disturb you. Can you speak a little slow because the translators need to do that for Spanish?
Oh, sorry. Okay. Sure,
Please,
sure.
please, thank you.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So, so we also have a graphics team. So they're the ones who come up with these little posters, and they're the ones who kind of handle posting it on social media, posting it on Instagram, posting it on Facebook, so that it reaches the other youth. And they're the ones who are also usually a lot more creative. And then we also have those who are kind of in the kids team. So they also organize activities for the children, and I'll be talking about that a little bit more later. And we also have a dance team. So if ever there's a performance, or if they want to do a fun video for TikTok, then they have a team ready. So yeah, okay. And then, so these are some of the youth that we have. And this was one of the teachings that they had recently. And here we can see that it's called "It's Okay to Not Be Okay." And this topic was basically about mental health. And of course, I think it's a buzzword among the youth these days. So much talk about mental health on TikTok, on social media. And if they're getting so much information about this from those mediums, then of course, as a youth ministry, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it in a Catholic perspective, in a space where we can come up with questions and answers, where it's a safe space to ask these things. And okay. And then and we also have these t-shirts that we have for our youth ministry. And they're people in the youth who design them, people who are in charge of selling them. And then when we put them on, we feel that sense of unity as well. So these are just many different examples. And I mentioned before that we have a kids ministry as well. So this is the kids ministry, and we can see like some faces here. And those are the youth. They are the youth from the youth ministry. They have that team, and they're the ones who organize what activity they're going to do together with the children. Because then the youth are the ones who are active in that service, and they're not only active within the youth, within people of their age, but also bringing children towards Christ as well. So, and they're also the ones making these posters. They're just very much involved, really. Okay, so and that leads me on to my personal experience. So because I grew up in this womb to tomb ministry, for me, I really gained so much, and I learned so much from being together with this ministry for so long. And I've gained really lifelong friends. And this was during Asian Youth Day, and the time I had the chance to really get to know Father Tito. And so here was one of my experiences that I had. And then here was the time when I also thought, you know what, let me try and experience activities for the youth that are outside of my own youth ministry too. So this was an experience that I had together with Opus Day, which was the UNIV conference in Rome during Holy Week. And it was just a very good experience for me to kind of go outside of my own youth ministry and see what are the things that that other other youth groups or other organizations, what do they offer that that I can bring back? I can bring back to my own youth group and share with them and let them experience this as well. And then here was one of my more recent experiences that I've had was when I had the chance to go to Thésée in France. And this was the place where I met so many other young people from around the world. And this was an experience that I really learned so much. And I really had the chance to meet other youth ministers and other missionaries and other just young people from their own contexts and their own situations. And that I had the chance to really come back home to Hong Kong and share this together with my youth group. And I think through this experience, it made me really, really appreciate the my upbringing and the ministry that I have been a part of. But yeah, that's really all for my sharing. It's really short and really basic, but I hope that it might have given you some ideas or some ideas about youth ministry and all. But thank you very much.
Thank you, Eloisa. Do you have also the experience in Cambodia? You went to Cambodia for the exposure?
Yes, I did.
Teaching English, yeah, to teach English.
Yeah, so we also went to Cambodia, basically what Father Tito said, to teach English to some children together with some other Hong Kong youth. So that was really great as well. A lot of different experiences.
Thank you, Eloisa. So Ana Maria, do you think we go ahead with the second part of the presentation, or if you think it's too much, so we can give also time to Moises and
I better give time to Moses, and then we give time again for the people to share, and maybe you can make a conclusion.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So now we give the microphone to Moises.
Okay, hello everyone. Well, I introduce myself. My name is Moises, Brother Moises. I the same community that like Father Tito told us. I'm studying my last year of theology here now in Mexico. So in these 2 years, I working with the pastoral community in the youth in the university here in our seminary. Well, I will introduce something my experience with youth, and I will share my experience in these 2 years. Well, I will share in Spanish. I will talking with you. So, bueno, no sé si me dejen también compartir. Voy a compartir algunas fotos. Bueno, mi trabajo en sí ahorita con los jóvenes ha sido muy, digamos, he tenido la oportunidad de estar tanto antes de entrar al seminario como ahorita. Creo que estas 2 experiencias que he tenido pues han sido también muy enriquecedoras. Antes de entrar, que fue hace 12 años, estuve trabajando directamente con los jóvenes en una parroquia a lo largo de 5 años. Entonces fue realmente también muy impactante esta experiencia, ya que pues esta experiencia pues fue tal cual el trabajar con jóvenes, como ya lo comentaban, que se van a estar, que este trabajo directamente es en una actividad una actividad ya propia en las parroquias. Entonces, el trabajar con ellos, pues bueno, fueron jóvenes sobre todo el que ellos participen o se introduzcan, a veces es difícil este reto, ya que muchos de ellos pues vienen con prejuicios o muchas ideas de mejor el entrar a un grupo juvenil pues es simplemente orar, el estar rezando. Entonces esto pues a lo mejor no es tan atractivo para ellos, ¿no? Pero una vez que introducen la forma en cómo ellos inician es a través de un retiro, que pues son retiros que de un fin de semana que se realizan y pues es también la forma en como estos jóvenes pues van poco a poco conociendo un poco más sobre su fe, sobre también relacionarse con otros jóvenes. Entonces, estos retiros, pues como lo comentan, es realizado pues por jóvenes que se dan a otros jóvenes estos retiros. Entonces, el que ellos puedan también compartir su experiencia de fe, pues también les ayuda mucho a ellos para ir conociendo. La forma, como les digo, de que ellos entran a esta experiencia de grupo juvenil, pues desde que este fin de semana ellos van conociéndose. Muchos de ellos, pues como les comento, no están tan familiarizados con su fe, con la religión, pero una vez que entran, pues bueno, es como, para mí lo sorprendente es ver ese cambio radical que hacen, ¿no? El cómo ellos pues transforman su experiencia, transforman su vida. Muchos de ellos pues entran con problemas familiares, entran con problemas sociales o de amistades, o incluso ¿no? muchos de depresión, de tristeza. Pero una vez que viven su retiro, su experiencia, pues ellos también pues tienen ese cambio total, ¿no? Y ese cambio también el poder compartir con otros jóvenes su experiencia, el que se sientan identificados, el que se sientan también escuchados por otros jóvenes, creo que también es lo que les ayuda a ellos a poder crecer e incluso integrarse en una comunidad, ya una parroquia. Entonces, el poder compartir esto y sobre todo ya una vez que participan y ellos hacen también como evangelizadores en la parte de que ellos también se van preparando para atraer otros jóvenes, para compartir su experiencia de fe. Creo que también eso fue lo que, a menos en modo personal, pues sí me ayudó mucho para poder a lo mejor también incluso ver cuál era pues mi vocación o lo que Dios quería para mí. Entonces, el estar en este grupo, pues ver cómo otros jóvenes se involucran también en el proceso de cambio, en el proceso de crecimiento de otros jóvenes, pues es lo impactante en estas comunidades, ¿no? En el poder tener estos espacios, que las parroquias también nos ofrezcan estos espacios, también el ser acompañados por párrocos, para que nosotros nosotros también, pues tener la oportunidad de tener este crecimiento, ¿no? El que nosotros tengamos como jóvenes, bueno, que se tenga la oportunidad de compartir su experiencia y el poder que ellos tengan este espacio de crecimiento, pues nos ayuda para que ellos también pues se vayan conociendo, ¿no? Vayan conociendo su fe, vayan conociendo otras oportunidades y sobre todo pues puedan ser ayudados a través de estas pequeñas comunidades de jóvenes que se van realizando. Entonces, al inicio, pues bueno, fue un poco como yo fui trabajando, también el que ellos se vayan involucrando, pues fue lo que también me ayudó el poder trabajar con ellos.
Moisés, disculpa un segundo, que si puedes hablar un poquito más lento, por favor, para la traducción. Gracias.
Sí, entonces, pues el poder trabajar con ellos, el poder tener estos 5 años de experiencia con ellos, pues me ayudó también para, como les digo, para poder ver cómo también uno puede, a través de la experiencia que uno tiene, a través de lo que nosotros vamos conociendo, pues poder tener esta oportunidad de ayudar a otros jóvenes. El que ellos se involucraran, el que ellos participaran, pues también fue de mucho enriquecimiento, ya que, pues bueno, esto nos está ayudando también para que también la misma comunidad, la misma parroquia, pues vaya teniendo esta noción de que hay jóvenes que están interesados, jóvenes que también se participan o quieren cambiar sus vidas, y el testimonio que también dan sus familias, pues es también lo impresionante, ¿no? Cómo también vas viendo ese proceso de cambio en ellos, en que van dejando muchos de ellos, a veces entran, nos tocó ver jóvenes que entraban con problemas de drogas, con problemas de alcoholismo, y eso es tiempo de que ellos se introducen en la parroquia o que van participando en estos grupos juveniles, pues también vemos también cómo ellos van cambiando, ¿no? Van dejando a lo mejor estos vicios, se van dejando instruir por otros jóvenes que también ahora han vivido estos procesos. Y bueno, es como ese trabajar juntos, ¿no? Eso pues fue lo que estuve trabajando a lo largo de 5 años en una parroquia directamente. Y ahora estos 2 últimos años, que ya estoy acá en el seminario y trabajando con jóvenes universitarios y de bachillerato, pues es lo que me ha ayudado también a mí a ver otro aspecto de los jóvenes. Creo que ha sido, comparando estos 2 procesos, sí es un proceso muy, muy diferente, ya que, bueno, ahorita, pues el trabajar con estos jóvenes actualmente, pues ya estos 2 años, pues es ver otra realidad muy diferente a la que se vivía anteriormente, ¿no? Son otras realidades, son otros tiempos también. Incluso, pues bueno, el trabajar con ellos, pues durante un tiempo de pandemia, que fue el primer año que estuve trabajando con ellos, pues también fue un poder acompañarlos y sobre todo un reto, ¿no? El trabajar con jóvenes universitarios y de bachillerato que no están ligados directamente a la vida cristiana, incluso religiosa, y pues no tienen un trabajo en parroquia, pues es difícil el ver cómo poder nosotros llamarlos o atraerlos, ¿no? La forma en que se les llama a estos jóvenes o en que los vamos involucrando en la pastoral juvenil dentro de la universidad, pues es a través primeramente de actividades que los van invitar, que vamos invitándolos para poder participar como campañas de acopio o actividades de caridad. Y muchos de ellos también se involucran a través de, bueno, por parte de la universidad, les piden ciertos requisitos de actividad o de caridad que pueden cubrirle sus créditos o ciertas materias. Entonces, es la forma, digamos, como que la que ellos van entrando, las que los van participando. Entonces, al principio, pues si ellos entran de una manera, pues, digamos, eh, pues como de compromiso o que incluso pues no están mejor convencidos del todo, ¿no? En participar en esta pastoral, pero una vez que van conociendo, se van involucrando en las actividades, pues es también ese cambio, ese compromiso que vemos en ellos, ¿no? Nosotros en sí, en la pastoral de la universidad, igual, bueno, no sé si me puedan permitir compartir, todavía no tengo el acceso. Bueno, el trabajar con ellos, pues hacemos diferentes actividades. Una es son talleres de líderes. Estos talleres de líderes invitamos tanto es con jóvenes como de la universidad, como los mismos de bachillerato, pero también está abierta a jóvenes externos que que no participan en la universidad o que no son estudiantes de la universidad. Entonces, pues bueno, vamos haciendo estos talleres con ellos. Es a lo largo de un fin de semana. Y nosotros pues los invitamos a que puedan participar, ¿no? Muchas gracias. A que puedan participar en estas actividades. Estos talleres, pues bueno, nos ayudan a nosotros para que podamos ir trabajando con ellos 2 principios. Uno, pues es son principios que se trabajan dentro de la universidad, que son como principios cristianos y también pues de humanidad. Estos talleres o estas actividades pues involucran sobre todo a que el joven vaya conociendo fuera de las áreas académicas o de las aulas de estudio, pues también que hay una vida en la que pueden aportar a través de su carrera, a través de la profesión, lo que están estudiando, que ellos pueden involucrarse también en la vida social, en las vidas de la gente que va teniendo también diferentes necesidades. Entonces, estas actividades, como estos talleres, pues los ayudan a ellos a que puedan también involucrarse y sobre todo ver otras realidades. El trabajar con ellos en este tiempo, pues ha sido también, como les digo, de mucha riqueza, ya que pues no es meter de lleno a lo mejor la parte espiritual, ¿no? No meterse en temas a veces muy directamente espirituales o religiosos, ya que ellos, pues muchos de ellos no tienen a lo mejor este conocimiento, como les comentaba. Pero poco a poco en las prácticas o en las actividades que vamos haciendo de caridad, de campo misión, pues ellos van mostrando su interés, ¿no? Esa inquietud por conocer más de fe, de la religión, de Dios, incluso pues hacerse sensibles ante el dolor humano, ¿no? Que es algo que para nosotros ya es un gran avance, el que ellas puedan involucrarse, el que puedan ofrecer un poco de su tiempo y su ayuda al servicio de los demás, y así pues poder poco a poco ir cambiando también ellos su modo de vida o actitudes que les ayude también en sus carreras, incluso para su vida personal. Entonces, estos talleres, como estas actividades que vamos invitándolos como de acopio, actividades de caridad que vamos entregando despensas o también actividades con otras casa hogar o casas de asilos de ancianos, pues bueno, esto también ellos, el poder participar de ello, pues los ayuda para ver otras realidades, para ver otras sensibilidades que también les ayuden a ellos a poderse involucrar en la vida social e incluso en la vida activa, que es algo muy importante dentro de este crecimiento humano, ¿no? Y lo vemos también en esta parte. Entonces, dentro de la universidad tenemos esta área, esta parte que les ayuda, como esta parte espiritual que vamos involucrándolos a ellos. Y pues bueno, es un espacio que al menos en estos años se ha visto que ha ayudado mucho a los jóvenes, a los estudiantes, pues muchos de ellos pues han llegado, ¿no? Han visto esta área de pastoral como un área donde ellos pueden ser ellos mismos, donde pueden expresarse, donde pueden compartir sus problemas, donde pueden compartir sus situaciones tanto familiares como de la escuela. Y pues también les ofrecemos, ¿no?, acompañamiento espiritual por medio de sacerdotes que también nos están acompañando en esta área, acompañamiento también espiritual en confesiones, en charlas, en poderles acompañar incluso cuestiones familiares. Y esto, pues bueno, ha ayudado para que esta área, este campo de pastoral, pues ellos puedan expresarse, ser como son, e incluso, pues bueno, un área donde puedan desahogarse, ¿no? Entonces, para nosotros como los que estamos trabajando dentro de esta pastoral, tanto religiosos como consagrados, igual externos, jóvenes que ya han tenido muchos años de experiencia, pues nos ha ayudado el poder ver, acompañar a estos jóvenes, ¿no? Como les digo, es un reto porque no estamos involucrados directamente con una actividad como otras otras pastorales, ¿no? Que tienen un trabajo directo en las parroquias. Aquí a diferencia, pues son jóvenes que, como les comento, ¿no? No están directamente vinculados con una parroquia, pero a través de ese trabajo en campus misión o a través de actividades que les vamos dando, pues bueno, ellos van mostrando esta inquietud por querer participar, por querer involucrarse ya en una vida más espiritual, más religiosa, e incluso ellos ya van buscando por su cuenta una parroquia cercana, actividades que los van también involucrándose en un compromiso más, ¿no? No solamente a nivel social, sino también ya en una parroquia. A veces ellos van buscando por su cuenta. Entonces, el ver este proceso, el ver este cambio, pues nos ha ayudado también a nosotros sobre todo en la parte de la universidad, pues ver no solamente pues, el crecimiento intelectual de los estudiantes, sino también ver ese crecimiento pues humano, que es lo que queremos, ¿no? Una integración humana de la persona, de los estudiantes, de estos jóvenes, que no crezcan solamente en una área, ¿no? Que es la académica, sino que también pues crezcan en la parte humana, que crezcan en la parte de valores. Y esto pues nos va ayudando para que ellos también puedan desarrollar diferentes habilidades de escucha, de entendimiento, de humanidad a través de estas actividades que les vamos ofreciendo, ¿no? Como les digo, son actividades de caridad, actividades de colectar víveres o comida para ofrecerla. A veces vamos a hospitales, los invitamos a que vamos a casa hogar, vamos a incluso a ir a la calle a compartir alimentos que ellos mismos van recolectando o mismos van haciendo campañas a través de actividades actividades que ellos mismos van creando para poder ver cómo juntar estos donativos o hacer estas campañas. Entonces, ha sido muy enriquecedor la forma en cómo ellos se van desarrollando, cómo se ha ido este crecimiento, el ver este cambio y este interés de los jóvenes por querer participar, por querer involucrarse y pues muchos de ellos van participando de una manera muy activa, muy solidaria, y pues es este crecimiento, ¿no? También, como les digo, tenemos actividades de campo misión, que vamos a comunidades rurales dentro de la ciudad, a veces por una semana, por 2 semanas, pero pues no es vivir con ellos, ¿no? Vamos a estar durante una semana a vivir en una comunidad, esa comunidad nos recibe, nos acepta y trabajamos con ellos, ¿no? Trabajamos tanto con niños, jóvenes y adultos a lo largo de esa semana, y ese tiempo pues es darle charlas, preparaciones. Como van jóvenes y estudiantes pues de diferentes edades e incluso de diferentes carreras, pues lo que nos ayudan también ellos es a través de la carrera o la profesión que están haciendo, pues es dar apoyo a esas comunidades, ¿no? El involucrarse, el participar cada comunidad. Esta última ocasión fuimos a una comunidad, fuimos a 6 diferentes comunidades. Cada grupo estuvo formado por 5 o 6 personas, que iba acompañado de un seminarista, de un religioso o una religiosa, y el sacerdote que nos iba también acompañando para también ofrecer pues, las misas que se iban dando durante cada día, ¿no? En esta comunidad. Entonces el acompañamiento que incluso se da en esta comunidad, pues es también tanto humano como espiritual, pero son los mismos jóvenes, ¿no? Los que piden estas actividades, los que se involucran, los que dan las charlas, los que ayudan también a otros jóvenes desde su experiencia y sobre todo, pues, situaciones rurales que a veces, pues, o comunidades que tienen otros conflictos y que ellos también han vivido, pero que también a través de su experiencia ellos van ayudando. Les damos también previamente una preparación de cómo poder participar o ayudar en estas comunidades. A veces en el párroco es con el que estamos en contacto de esa comunidad, es el que nos contacta o nos pide un tema en específico para dar o una catequesis, y es la que nosotros, sobre todo como religiosos o religiosas, a cargo de ellos, somos los que los preparamos o les damos las herramientas para poder trabajar en estas comunidades durante esta semana. Entonces, una vez que ellos están involucrados o que estamos ya leyendo en esta comunidad, pues bueno, ellos son los que se encargan de dar las charlas, los que se encargan de dar este acompañamiento, y sobre todo lo que hemos visto es ese enriquecimiento que ellos reciben, ¿no? A pesar de que ellos van a dar, ellos salen más recibiendo en este compartir, ya que el crecimiento y la experiencia que se tiene en el compartir una vida, una semana con estas comunidades, pues a veces ves, sobre todo lo que nos comentan muchos de ellos, es que la riqueza que ellos reciben pues es mayor, ¿no? Porque ven otras realidades, ven que a veces sus problemas o situaciones pues no son tan graves o sí, no son tan graves como otras realidades a las que ya se confrontan, ¿no? Entonces, pues les ayuda a valorar sobre todo sus familias, sus situaciones, su propia vida, y la riqueza y con la alegría con la que ellos salen después de esta experiencia de misiones, pues la que los motiva a seguir continuando y apoyándonos en esta pastoral. Entonces, pues muchos de ellos, como les digo, vienen con también diferentes situaciones, con problemas, pero lo que nosotros tratamos de darles es un acompañamiento también, que ellos puedan sentirse a gustos, que puedan compartir con otros jóvenes, y pues la oportunidad sobre todo que darles la oportunidad de crecer, darles las herramientas de crecer a nivel social y también espiritual, que es lo que ellos más, a veces sin decírnoslo, pues ellos lo que van buscando, ¿no? Entonces, el poderlos acompañar, el poder tener estos procesos de acompañamiento y de crecimiento, pues han sido muy enriquecedores. Estos 2 últimos años, el número de jóvenes pues ha incrementado bastante. Creo que a raíz de la pandemia, pues muchos de ellos sí fueron pues más vulnerables al dolor, incluso a pérdidas, y eso pues los ha ayudado también como que a buscar más la parte espiritual, que es lo que nos ha ayudado a nosotros pues a poderles ofrecer pues estos espacios, ¿no? Y estos medios para que ellos también puedan desahogarse, puedan abrirse, que podamos nosotros también ese vínculo de acompañamiento con ellos, y podamos hacer como también los vínculos para poder ayudarlos tanto en su vida familiar como también académica y pues también en la espiritual. Entonces, muchos de estos jóvenes ya se han involucrado de manera muy activa dentro de la pastoral y nos han ayudado a buscar a otros jóvenes, a otros estudiantes. Entonces, creo que el reto aquí ha sido esto, ¿no? Que a pesar de que no estamos en un ámbito muy espiritual, como es y él está en una parroquia o una comunidad como fuera un grupo de jóvenes en una parroquia, el reto acá pues, es que pues, ellos entran primeramente por un gusto, ¿no? Bueno, a veces entran por gusto, a veces por una necesidad académica, pero durante el proceso y el compartir con otros jóvenes y sobre todo las experiencias de los diferentes talleres o campos misión que vamos teniendo, pues es lo que les ayuda, los motiva a querer conocer más sobre su fe, a querer más conocer sobre cómo involucrarse dentro de una vida pastoral y ayudar sobre todo la necesidad de ayudar a otros jóvenes, ¿no? Como también ya lo comentaba el padre Tito en lo que nos compartía, pues la riqueza de que ellos puedan ser vínculos y medios de crecimiento para otros jóvenes. Entonces, muchos de ellos, a pesar de que ya dejan la universidad, de que dejan sus estudios o de que dejan la escuela, porque terminan ya su carrera, porque ya están trabajando, ellos ven la manera de poder participar dentro de las actividades. Ellos se integran y pues también la riqueza que tenemos es eso, ¿no? De que podemos, de que se les invita también a pesar de que ya no estén estudiando, que ya no estén dentro de los ámbitos de estudio de la universidad, pues ellos puedan también involucrarse, ¿no? Que se les invita a que ellos sigan participando, de que sigan colaborando ya como personas que nos ayudan ya externamente o incluso dando charlas o conferencias o incluso pues invitando a otros jóvenes y sobre todo pues participando en los campos misión, que es esta semana que vamos a comunidades a ofrecer un poco de nuestro tiempo y nuestra ayuda a otras comunidades y a otros jóvenes también de otros lugares. Entonces, pues la riqueza sí ha sido muy, muy enriquecedora. Creo que los frutos que hemos visto son muy grandes y sobre todo, pues hemos visto la iniciativa que tienen muchos de ellos para querer buscar medios, buscar fondos para poder cubrir estas experiencias o estos talleres que ellos van teniendo. E incluso, pues nada, ha sido, pues como lo vemos aquí, han visto cómo vender a mejor donas o incluso hacer ventas dentro de la universidad a través de comida o como hacer como una tipo, bueno, vender diferentes actividades, diferentes productos que les ayuda a crear fondos para poder llevar a casa hogar o buscar fondos para poder cubrir lo que es el campo misión, que es la experiencia que se va durante una semana o dos a una comunidad rural. Entonces, pues bueno, ha sido esto el trabajo durante estos 2 años. Creo que pues sí, el enriquecimiento y la gratitud ha sido bastante. En la forma en cómo estos jóvenes se han desempeñado y han crecido, pues bueno, también nos ayuda a nosotros también el ver que hay esta necesidad, ¿no? Esta hambre de conocer a Dios, de poder integrarse en un trabajo ya más profundo, en un acompañamiento también ya incluso espiritual, y ver cómo estos jóvenes pues, van también cambiando, ¿no? Cómo vamos viendo también ese proceso de Dios en sus vidas, y muchos de ellos terminan pues buscando, ¿no? Esa hambre de Dios, esa necesidad de conocer más a Dios, de involucrarse más en su vida pues, más espiritual, y el crecimiento pues que vemos y las riquezas que incluso hasta las familias nos han dicho, pues es ese testimonio de ver cómo sus hijos o cómo estos jóvenes pues van cambiando y se van siendo más sensibles ante necesidades familiares humanas, y pues la riqueza que también pues sobre todo como medios de la universidad pues vamos dando como esos frutos también a la sociedad, ¿no? Jóvenes que no solamente estén por buscar o tener una carrera, sino que también se involucren en una vida más activa. Entonces, pues sería esto un poquito mi compartir. No sé si alguien igual preguntas, dudas, pues adelante.
Okay, thank you so much, Moises, for this sharing. Thank you also, Eloisa. We are almost at the end of our meeting, but I think it has been very interesting to listen. So I will ask you maybe to take just a few minutes if someone wants to mention something or to make a comment, short, briefly, please. We will take just a few minutes for that before ask Father Titor to finish to make a conclusion and give us the final blessing. So please, if someone want to share a little, please, it is the time. Okay, since we don't have comments, so just to thanks Father Tito for to be with us. For sure, after this encounter, we will have a lot of material and new ideas for to reflect about that, for go through. Thank you so much, Eloisa, and thank you to all of you for to take part in this encounter. That is our last encounter of this formation. And I hope from this will be fruits and will help us in the service that we are doing in this time in the different places in our realities. So, Father Tito.
Yeah, no, thank you everyone for having us. I mean, Eloisa and myself. As at the beginning I said, it's very humble presentation. It's nothing new. We are not discovering the boiling point of the water and nothing new. But it's important to share and also to realize that I mean the best evangelizers for the young people are the same young people. So don't forget that is the only best. I mean, it's the best strategy that we can have if we want to reach and to have fruits in the youth ministry. We have to involve the same youth to do the youth ministry, and by doing the youth ministry, I mean, it's sharing their faith. You know, to be missionaries, to be an active missionaries in their own communities, in their own groups, in their own school, etc. So yeah, one phrase that I really like is one of the phrase of John Paul II when he said, "Faith is strengthened by giving it." So missionaries' commitment is an essential dimension of our faith. So we have to bring people to share their faith. I mean, young people to share their faith and to receive and to accept this call and this vocation, this calling to be youth missionaries in our communities, in our church. So I wish to all of you to have very fruitful missionary activity in the youth ministry perspective. May God continue to bless your activity and to bless each one of you. So the Lord be with you and with your spirit. The blessed of the Almighty God,